In 1987, I moved back from Ohio to D.C. and enrolled in Eastern High School and did. You must not have went there when I went there, champ. Those were tough times, is the way I remember it. When I had gone, I'd lived with my father for 3 years. I went to middle school in Ohio, and when I'd gotten back to Washington, the crack epidemic was in full swing, and the city was largely unrecognizable to me. I was an older kid, and kids my age were doing a lot of wild things that I didn't know that kids would do. I'd never seen a kid with a pager before. I didn't know anything about selling drugs or any of that shit. All I knew was every day when I went to Eastern, I didn't feel safe. I'm a quiet guy, naturally. I'm a shy person, naturally. I used to get my hair cut on a barbershop in 15th Street Northeast, and I would go there, and everyone in the barbershop would just snap on each other. And I'd sit in the corner, and I'd watch everybody and just listen to all these jokes. The guys were funny as shit, but one day, after a few weeks of going there getting my hair cut, they turned the jokes on me. I call that day the Barbershop Massacre. I lit everybody in that barbershop up. I've been sitting in there listening to for weeks talk about each other. I knew every inside joke about each and every one of them, and they couldn't believe I knew this stuff. I lit their asses up. And from then on in the neighborhood, people kind of like me. Oh, that guy, he's pretty funny. Time magazine released an article about Bill Cosby. The headline said, 50 funny and filthy rich. And I read that article, and it was when I was looking at his face before all that disgrace that I looked and I said, I could do that. I told my father, and my father said, well, then just do it. That's why I wouldn't even know where to start. And he said, well, look in the phone book. It was before the internet, if you're young. We used to have a book with phone numbers in it. My father found for me the local comedy club in Washington, D.C. I called him. I found out when open mic night was, and I started to go there on Tuesday nights, just watch. And then one night I went on a weekend. I would get my money together, and I would go to this comedy club, and I would just watch these comedians, and sometimes they would talk to me. And I told one of the comedians after a show one night, I said, man, I really want to try to do this. And he said, well, he said, if you want to be a good comedian, you should know how to act. I said, why? He says, he didn't explain it. I said, okay, and I told my parents, and this is how I came to find out about Duke Ellington. My mother, she said, there's a place you can go where you can learn to act right here in Washington. It's a high school. I said, you mean I would get out of Eastern?